So this week in our skills session, we're going to look at or continue on the conversation from last week, which was sharpening and denoise, but we did that in classic. So tonight should be quite quick because the methodology, the workflow is exactly the same. But I think you know me, I love these modifying keys. So we hold the Alt key down or our shift key or our control key, and there's a hidden functionality behind the normal slider or normal button. And there is, you say, well, how do you do that on a tablet? I'm going to show you. So let's find a collection. So here we go. I'm just doing this image. I'm going to got two images in here, and I showed you last week the detail panel, and we had denoise. And the default now is the AI, so you just tick the box and it will take the noise out of the grain. But sometimes you want grain out of the shadows. And we looked at the sharpening. So we just pull the slider and we hit the option key, Alt or Option, and it takes it black and white. And by removing the color, we can see more of the sharpness. So we zoom in. See, this is the, can you see all the noise here? You see that
Yeah.
around the tent, all that? Now, if I hit denoise, it will take it away, but I'm going to do it on the iPad. Okay, so this is why I've chosen this image. And if we hit the option key, we can bring a contrast filter in and we can see what is white is being sharpened and what is black is not being sharpened. And we only really want the edges sharpened. Okay, so that's what we looked at last week. But we will do the denoise. So let me reset these by just double clicking on the sliders. So we reset that and this will sync back to Lightroom. So I'm just going to quickly show you the same thing in this is Lightroom desktop, and I'm going to tell you a little update at the end of the session for Lightroom, and it's the same thing. So press the Alt Option key, and I'm doing the slider for mask, so it's exactly the same. The amount of sharpening, just pressing the Alt option, and these are the hidden identifiers. So what you're doing is you're going to zoom in, and you see how sharp do I want to make these edges. It's not a replacement for your outer focus, but it makes it a little bit crispier, the image, so the edges, okay? So that's your desktop. How do you do it on the iPad? How do you do it on your phone? There we go. So I'm going to go to the folders. And there we go. So there's, is that the image we looked at? Or was it? That's the image we looked at. Okay. I'm just waiting for this to sync. It should have synced earlier. But I go into the detail panel and I have the same sliders. Yeah. So I can sharpen. Just for it to load. There we go. I can sharpen the amount of sharpening and the mask. But we can't see the by moving these sliders, what are we sharpening? We haven't got, and we can pinch in, okay? And we can look at the sharpening here. So I've pinched in, and by holding the sharpening tool, the slider, the panel goes away. So all I'm doing is I'm moving the slider. You can see where my finger is, the red dot, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right? But the panel disappears, okay? So that's a nice user interface. Same on the phone, okay? But how do we get the modifying key? Yeah, so you remember on the keyboard on desktop or in classic, I pressed the option or the alt key. Well, to do it on your phone or on your tablet, you know, you put your finger on the image, hold your finger on the image, and now I'm, see, right, I'm moving the slider, right, and I get that contrast filter. Okay, so you put your finger on the slider, finger on the on the image, and you can just slide away and you will see it moving. And that's how you do the modifying key. So the same with sharpening. Finger on the image, and you see it's now gone black and white, and I'm
Yep.
moving the slider. You see it going side to side. Because it's black and white, it's the equivalent to using that modifying key. Okay, so the secret hack, if you want to say, is I'm touching with my left index finger the actual image, and I'm using my right index finger to move the action slider. Okay, and it's the same for the noise. All right, so if I pinch in and wait for it to render, and now I start using the noise, it's going to take the noise away from this white area. Okay, so I've just moved the noise slider up. It's going to slightly make it softer. Okay. All right. Away we go. So you hit the same actions, and once I come off the image, so I go back to the grid view, you'll start seeing in the top right hand corner the little cloud, and you can see it sinking. Okay, so whilst you're on the image, it's doing the adjustments locally. When you come off the image and go into the grid view, it then starts to sync back to the cloud. So it's exactly the same workflow as in Classic, but you need to put your finger on the image. That then is the equivalent to the Alt or the Option key on your keyboard in Classic or Lightroom Desktop. Okay. Now, depending on your device, you may have AI in Lightroom, and that's just tick the box for denoise. Okay. I did this deliberately on an older iPad to show you that. All right. So you don't have to manually do that. You can just tick the box and it'll do it for you. Okay. So building on last week, it's so easy, and that syncs all back to Classic. Just wait a few seconds. This was the image. It all comes. So now if I look here, you can see it's not so grainy in here. Move the mouse out. It's a little bit softer, perhaps a little bit too soft, but it's not as noisy in here. And I did all that on the iPad. Okay. Now I have internet connection. Remember, I showed you a couple of weeks ago that you press the three little dots on the album, and it says store local. So it'll bring everything down, all the smart previews. It will bring all those small raw files down to your device locally. So you do that at home, and then you go on holiday or whatever you want to do, or you're going on your journey, you're sitting in the car if you're one of those people that can look down while somebody's driving, or you're on a train or something like that, or you're going away and you want to edit your images on the road. You just go to the album, hit three dots, and it says store locally. Tell you how much storage it needs. It won't try to even start downloading if you haven't got enough storage on your device. And then you can edit them all on your device locally without internet connection. And then when you get internet connection, it will sync back. So, and that could be in the hotel that you're staying at if you're away, or on the campsite. So all the edits that you do on your iPad or your phone or your other tablet or on a web browser all sync back to Classic. Okay. And on my next trip away, I'll actually show you all of that in situ away in Malta. And I will show you over the 2 or 3 weeks. I can't remember if it's 2 weeks 2 Mondays that I'm there, or was it 3 Mondays there? I can't remember off the top of my head. But I will show you a workflow that if you're going to take Classic with you and how you can do that, or if you're going to use Lightroom, or you're going to use Lightroom Web. To give you the three options that you can use when you're away from your computer. And the thing about it is you're only doing it once. The place changes, the device changes, but you've edited the photo once, you've added the metadata once, apart from keywords, and it comes back to Classic. Yeah? Okay. Anyone any questions about that? No?
No.
No? Okay. It's quite straightforward, isn't it?
Hmm.
So, I said so again, didn't I? I said
So,
I said I was going to show you something new in Lightroom in one of the new devices. You may remember I said a few weeks ago there are two main things I'm looking for before even considering moving to Lightroom as the permanent application, i.e., replacing Classic. I still love Classic. It'll always be my legacy workflow and so on. But Lightroom is getting more and more powerful. And we have finally won, we actually had a few months ago, we had smart collections or smart albums, but they're not, in my opinion, they're not, that they are powerful, but they're powerful in a different way where you are asking a question, but more generic, red car, and it gives you all the red cars. And you're relying on Adobe's computer to know what a red car is. Okay. So that's how you do your smart collections. You ask it a question. So you type in Minehead and all the pictures come back Minehead. But the problem that the smart collections in Lightroom does, if you do that, if you type Minehead, it'll come back with all the GPS data of Minehead, but if you've put your contact details, you're in Minehead, those images will come back as well. So there isn't quite the specific searching criteria that you have in Classic. So the details in your smart collections in Classic, you can be much more precise. So there's still a way to go, and bearing in mind, Classic is approximately 10 years older than Lightroom. So it's got 10 years more functionality than what Lightroom has got. But the other one that I said was map module. We're still waiting for a map module. You do have a map that's individual images. But the other thing that is very, very critical to my workflow is color labels. And we now have color labels in Lightroom desktop. And down the bottom, where you see the stars, there's a little circle, and we have flags, and we have color ratings. Exactly the same, but it's only in Lightroom desktop. It's not in Lightroom web, and I haven't yet found it in Lightroom mobile, so phone or tablet, but we have color labels. My understanding at the moment from the questions I've asked and the testing I've done, it does not sync. I've taken this image here and I'm going to go red. So I've put this as a red color label. So you can see now down the bottom, I've got a red color label on this. It's going to sync, syncing here. Okay, now if I go back to classic, there, go in, which image was it? That one, there. There's no red color label in either of those images. So it doesn't sync back to classic. That's from my testing. So I'm very disappointed in that. I was hoping that all my color label workflow would sync from classic to Lightroom. So all my color labels down here, red means I'm going to edit it. Yellow means I'm halfway through editing it. Green means I'm fully edited it. It's got all my keywords, everything on there. Well, I was hoping that all my images in the cloud would have the appropriate red, yellow, or green color label. And then blue are all my family images, and purple's all my academic images. So that's how I color label. But that at the moment, bearing in mind it's only just come out in the last 2 weeks, um, is disappointing. Maybe updated. Okay. Not on the phone, not on the tablet, on iPhone at the moment. So, and it's not on the web module either. All right.
Mm.
Okay. So, what are we doing next week? Anybody? Forgot what we're doing next week now. Next Monday.
I expect Joan to be going on a cruise again.
Color mixer.
Soon, David, soon.
No, that's Wednesday. Wednesday, we're doing the color mixer on Wednesday next week. So that's all about altering your color. So a week today, all about altering your colors. So whether that's saturation, brightness, or actually changing the color. And I'll show you a hidden functionality. There's a modifying key. I'll tell you what it is now, but there's a modifying key that when you change the colors that are not being affected go black and white or go grayscale. So the colors that you're changing are only the colors that you see on the screen. And that's buried away. You have to press two buttons and so on. So I'll tell you all about that. So Monday, understanding EXIF data. EXIF data is the data from your camera. Okay, so we're going to have a discussion all about your EXIF data, because when you understand EXIF data, and then I think the following week we're looking at IPTC data, which is EXIF data is what comes from your camera. IPTC data is what you give it. Keywords, title, headline, description, and we'll look at presets as well within that. So how to batch apply your IPTC data, batch apply your keywords on import. So the first one is following on from smart collections. What data can I search for? Yeah, the easy one, aperture. Okay, you're looking for an image of an otter that's got a shallow depth of field. Okay, so you can actually search for show me keyword otter with an f4 aperture and this particular lens. So 600 millimeter shot at f4. Understanding what comes from the camera, your EXIF data, will help you understand what you can search for in your smart collections. Then using that and or command that we looked at last week in smart collections. So show me all the images that are 5-star and that were shot with this camera or this camera with this lens in mull that was shot at f4. The person that does that isn't here tonight, but I know that that person's got over 60,000 images and they're looking for a new image that perhaps they haven't edited yet and so on. And by programming your smart collections with understanding the EXIF data, you can wiggle it down. Now, I was looking for some images the other day and I couldn't find them. I hadn't keyworded them. They were images that I printed out, but I hadn't keyworded them. My mistake. I'm not perfect. But there was things that I knew. I know I took that image with my Z5, and it was one of the first images I took with my Z5. Right. So that was 2022. Remember that? Right. What else do I know about the photograph? Well, it's a portrait picture. So it's shaped like that. So I know those two things, right? So I put that into filters or a smart collection. The third thing I said was, What else do I know about it? Well, I looked at the picture and there was people having an ice cream down by the railway station here. They had a sun hat on, they had shorts on, had a t-shirt on, and they were having ice cream. So it's a good bet it's in the summer. So I then said, right, okay, it's in the summer. So it's going to be June, July, August, or September. So in 2022, I selected those months, I selected that camera, and I selected portrait. It went from 9,991 images to 26. There was the photograph. I searched 480,000 images down to 9,991, down to 26 images in no more than 20 seconds. And I found the image. And I hadn't keyworded it, I hadn't titled it, I hadn't done anything. I just edited it. It was a yellow color label, which means I was halfway through my workflow. I hadn't finished the rest of the workflow, but I'd printed it out and I wanted to reprint it out again, but I couldn't find it because I hadn't finished my workflow. And that's what I mean about understanding the EXIF data. You know when events are, you know, and so on. So that's what we're going to do on Monday. Okay, so building on smart collections. Now, what can I search for? And the following Monday, we're going to look at IPTC data, what data we give the image. Right, and then in the middle, color mixer tool. Okay. Anyone got any questions about what we've done tonight?
No, thank you.
All right. So Sue, I think you'll love the color mixer tool because you keep asking me, how do I get those colors in the skies like that? And this is the tool.
Right, I'll be there.
Okay. And there is a difference between color mixer and color grading. There's a subtle difference. Color mixer is changing the colors of the color. Color grading is changing the color of light. Different way of doing things. But we've got color grading coming up. All right.
Yeah.
I will do my best to get this out by Friday, the recording on YouTube. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.